Wake your ass up. The hottest artist on the planet, Tiamat. Pain is here. Because I'm gonna let you know, if you're in the water, you're gonna die. Illuminati dies here today, Mom.
It's a shark in the zoo. They say in Babylon, put the mark on them too. His whole body light so we can maul other guys. If my all-seeing eye going dark on me too. And them coffers for you. I'm ready so the devil who I call out first. I heard God call it, said behind the great wall. I made a sword off to kick them all off earth. Hey, so my click don't play. Haven't gotta choose the wolf or the lamb. Get shot down by a pig in the street. Why do niggas gotta beef when it's a whole lot of ham? Alright, it's a hole in the dam. They can't flood Merc, so they shoot down gangs. Merc fly high, baby, Merc won't die. I don't see nobody here that can shoot down planes. It's like I shoot down veins. You're turning everybody in the hood to an addict. You look 6th grade to a bully with a habit. Cause I'm a switchblade or a fully automatic. Let's go. It's only 2 ways out. Don't ever try to sit and think I'm running cause you can't. It's only screaming die while you running out of tank. It's screaming try bitch while you running out the bank. Cause my click don't pay. I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. My hoe act right like she came with an Emmy. She want black pipe cause she came with the Remy. Ain't no pain even in me. You probably wouldn't know where I blow back kush. It's 5 knockouts when it's 5 cops out. Or it's 5 shots out from the big bad wolf. Better bitch gon' say that my click don't play. I threw a clip in the cave and I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. Better bitch gon' say that my click don't play. I threw a clip in the cave and I'm probably in your range getting brain with the semi. Better bitch gon' say this is the only way I know to handle this. A whole lot of guns and a whole lot of cannabis.
Shots fired at Screw Tube, but shots out to you carbon babies. This is your melanated warrior, Heru Heinous, and this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts, because the facts are the only things that matter in a race where the first one to the mind is the winner. Shots out to you Crystallologians. I've been looking in the chat. I don't know, it looked like this chat is operating slow, if it's even operating at all. But shouts out to the family. All right, we got Zyba in the building. That's what's up. What's up? Fire emojis. All right. And Angelica says song is always fire. That's what's up. Appreciate that. Yeah, we about to get into it because we got a lot of information to cover. I think that you guys are going to find this to be a very, very exciting segment because you know what we're leading up to. And so this is going to be, I have to line all the ducks in a row because this is going to be a very, very fun. I just know for a fact you guys are going to enjoy it. So, let me get ones in the chat to make sure that you guys can hear me before we get started. You said, see, you gotta say you should get a Grammy for that song. That's straight 100. I'm trying to tell you, hey, look, it's more where that came from. I'm going to pick up more of my music on Sunday. That's a whole nother story. All right. But let's get into it because tons of information to cover. I want to kind of wait till everybody gets in here, but they're just going to have to catch up. So let's get started because like I said, a lot to cover. Now, the thing is, without even really doing any recap, one of the things that I want to talk about before we get, into the meat of this is about the differences. A lot of people do respect my research and who I am and what I do here at the FOS Squad simply because I have a different approach. And we want to talk about that approach because it's going to be crucial, from here on out moving forward, especially after this monumental celestial event. All right. And then so with these differences, a lot of people ask me, they say, oh, man, how do you, get through trying to stick out when you hear all of these? You got an array of viewpoints and opinions, right? And so many viewpoints and opinions that it's hard for us as a community to pinpoint when all of that conjecture becomes conviction. You see what I'm saying? I mean, when people gossiping and all of a sudden it becomes truth, and it becomes truth in this peculiar court, this court that we call the court of public opinion. And within that court, right, what you have is you have a lot of people unwittingly conspiring together to craft and to mold the minds of the masses. right? To where we act a certain way. We have to think a certain type of way. And you can only think this type of way, right? It almost seems like it's impossible for us to multitask with these people, right? These are the same people within the community will sit up there and say, oh, well, black people are not a monolith. We all don't act the same. But in the same breath, they'll sit up there and say, all black people do this. These are the same people who talk about white people institutions in their schools and how their schools don't teach us the truth and teach us lies. But in the same breath, they'll talk about their degrees and throw them in your face in order to, substantiate credibility. You see what I'm saying? This is the point. So what I want us to get to understand is that when we're within this matrix, the only thing that's going to get us freedom is when we disassociate ourselves from Western science completely. You see what I'm saying? This is the same science that's responsible for the Tuskegee experiments. This is the same science that experimented on your men and women. This is the same science, that, like we said, puts Planned Parenthoods all in your neighborhood. This is the science that we're talking about, people. You see what I'm saying? So, skepticism should be at an all-time high. And so, when I look at it, unlike most people, because we're talking about my approach again, one of the things that I recognize is that when I'm looking at the track record of the Blanco, his testimony is not a viable excuse. When I'm hearing his analysis, it's not a viable explanation because to me, he's a liar. Okay, I don't have to. It shouldn't be on me to prove him right. It should be on him. The burden should be on him. You see what I'm saying? But it is not. It is not. And like I said before, because of the way I am, I approach that with that same tone, because if it's our people, we're going to do that. If you got a brother or sister that do you wrong, once is usually all it takes. It's one time too many. You don't trust or you don't mess with that person again. But on the other hand, when it's them, you don't see a whole lot of resistance. And again, I'm one of the people who champion the idea not to generalize your people, obviously, right? But in this case, what we can see through the evidence that it's an overwhelming majority, or it's a majority of our people that buy into the conventional framework, that buy into the science. And that is the problem. The problem is if we buying into his artificial matrix, we got to know that that's the standard. His hospitals, that's the European standard. His religion is the European standard, right? His, everything else is the European standard. So we know from the European standard then emanates out of his standards. It emanates from his science, right? His political sciences, his social sciences, his economic sciences, his health sciences. And those sciences emanate from his agenda. Okay? This is one thing that we got to understand. So, it's an agenda because when we first look at it, we understand, or when we look at it deeply, rather, we understand that if he really wanted America to be great and continue to be great, he would have built it on permanence, right? That's what he would have built it on. He wouldn't have built it on, he wouldn't have built his industry or his empire on a non-renewable resource, right? He wouldn't have built his economy on a fiat economy, a dollar that's not worth anything. That's what he would have done. Right. And he wouldn't have built, the idea of learning the human body on smoke and mirrors. And he definitely wouldn't have tried to give you the idea of the cosmos through a body of knowledge that doesn't even hold up with its own science. And that's what we're about to explore. That's what we're about to explore, because I'm going to tell you something, man. Right when we use nature instead of his societal constructs, we see right through it. Even before we explore this notion of space, I'm going to hit the Blanco over the head before he even get off the ground. This Blanco tell you he needs sunscreen on the ground, right? And then he tells you about 50 or 70 miles to 300 miles up into the Earth's atmosphere is the ionosphere. These electrically charged particles, ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation is what causes cancer, ladies and gentlemen. Brothers and sisters. So if you need sunscreen on the ground, I want to know, what type of sunscreen do you have to where you can fly 300 miles up into the Earth's atmosphere and even into outer space? What type of sunscreen are you using? You see what I'm saying? Are you telling me you hiding it all for your astronauts and then leaving all your people behind here on Earth? Come on, stop playing. But this is, like we talked about, this is also shades of the God complex that the Blanco has been able to, acquire, especially through his pseudoscience. This is particularly one of the reasons why you can watch a movie called Superman, where the superhero central power source is the sun, and he's a Blanco. This is how he's able to get away with that. So I told you, I was like, if you got a people who struggle with the central power source in the sun, then they're going to struggle in every area, right? We told you the geoengineering, big agribusiness, all this. This is nothing new because we showed you a documentary with Nestle and the Nestle Corporation in the perennial stages of their development, how Nestle got big. He concocted an artificial breast milk, which they needed. Now imagine being a human being, a group of human beings coming into this planet and then have to survive off of another mammal's nourishment in order to grow. And it doesn't stop there, brothers and sisters. So all this is deep. We have to understand that this is deep when it comes to all of these. It is every organism's relationship with the central power source that we call the sun, which will determine its fate and its responsibility in this realm. And that we call, and that we see as being inhabited by the Crystallologians. So before we get started, let me look at the chat one more time to see if the chat picking up. Yeah, so we got, it's there. So we got, I just want to make sure. So it's ones, make sure that this is right. Okay. So the biggest, the biggest thing that obviously we see hasn't changed too as well, in terms of, like we talked about when we saw that documentary, is that it hasn't changed in terms of where he's getting his crystal from when it comes with that cow. You see what I'm saying? Because dairy is still the biggest staple here in this country and also simultaneously being the biggest food allergen too as well. So I find that to be particularly amazing. But, let's go off into what we need to discuss in terms of, the science behind this eclipse, all right? Because let's get into it. Let's get into a science. Because remember, my thing is to show you or to let you know that even we're using his science. And I've been doing this for the vast majority of, my history on YouTube, right? When I talk, I'm always showing you that I'm using his science. The term crystallologians, that don't come from Heru. That's what they call it. When I talk about carbon being the king of elements, I never said that. That's what they said. When I talk about X-ray crystallography, see, all of these things that somebody may associate with pseudo because they're not familiar with these terms, they may say, oh, this guy's making that all up. No, this is what they're using. And we're going to go deep off into this science to show you. So when I believe it was Jay Chosen, in the comment section, in the chat last time was talking about asking about, how will it be shown in different time zones and stuff like that. And I didn't brush it off a little bit. I answered it, but I didn't adequately answer. You know how I like to answer some things, but it tied into, it would have bled into this segment. So I could only do so much, but now we're about to get into it because here we're about to erase a lot of the mysticism. We're about to see his science, and then we're about to see whether or not his science actually holds up. But then we're going to know what the science is too as well, because there's too much mysticism surrounding this. And the reason being, as we already know, this is because of compartmentalized thought. And it's also because we know that the Blanco taught the vast majority of this science when we were very young. This is why he came out with them TV shows, Are You Smarter Than the Fifth Grader? Because he knew you forgot a lot of this stuff. And he knew that you would be indoctrinated via Hollywood. And a lot of what you saw about this earth, you would be, relating it to a movie. That's primarily why when you see people who observe any type of phenomenon, that's the first thing they associate it with. It was like something out of a movie. Because Hollywood is picked up where religion has left off. Oh, yeah, come on, man. We about to cook right now. We about to cook. Jason said, just got in here a couple minutes behind. Here we go, Crystal. Oh, yeah, we about to cook. Let's get it. All right. So one thing we about to do, we about to go to an article, right? Why does the solar eclipse move east to west? Okay. Why does it move east to west? So hold on one second. Let me grab this article right quick. All right. Let me see. One second. All right, let me get ones in the chat. Make sure that you guys can hear me. Let me get ones in the chat. Make sure that you guys can hear me. Jay Chosen says, salute Heru in the chat. That's what's up. Ones in the chat if you guys can hear me, so we can get to cooking. I gotta wait, obviously, because there's a delay. I think Zyva said 1. Okay, yeah, all right, so we got a Kai's in the building. What's up, Kai? All right, so why does a solar eclipse move west to east? I'm sorry, west to east, you guys. I said east to west. West to east, I'm sorry. Here's why the path of a solar eclipse travels in the opposite direction of that of the sun. Okay? This article is part of a special report on the total solar eclipse that will be visible from parts of the U.S., Mexico, and Canada on April 8, 2024. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. A glimpse at the map of the April 2024 North American solar eclipse, however, shows a path from west to east. What gives? The answer lies in the relationship between the rotation of Earth. Now, I want you guys to understand this. The big thing, this paradigm, a paradigm is what knowledge rests on. So we have to understand the concept of space, or the paradigm of space, rests on the idea of motion. You have to understand that. Rest on the idea of motion. So always commit that to memory. But let's continue on to keep reading. Earth in the orbit of the moon, but the arrangement can be a bit tricky to visualize. Yeah, because, everything that the Blanco, being the author of confusion, comes out with is meant to, or intended to, be tricky, to complicate things, right? First, let's look at the total solar eclipse path. On April 8th, the moon's shadow will fall on Earth, blocking out the sun along an approximately 100-mile wide track that will cross through central Mexico, pass through Texas, and cut diagonally across the continental U.S. It will then skim along the country's border with Canada before it exits the U.S. near the northern tip of Maine and moves through parts of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and Labrador. Okay, let's continue. The path moves in the opposite direction of the sun's apparent trek over Earth each day. But during an eclipse, the motion of the moon's shadow, not the sun, is what matters. Earth rotates from west to east, says Michelle Nichols, director of public observing at the Adler Planetarium in Chicago. Imagine your vantage point on the planet rolling from west to east each morning to greet the sun, which thus appears to rise over the eastern horizon. Okay, there goes the trajectory right there, illustration of it. The moon also orbits Earth on a west to east path. If you were perched above the North Pole looking down on the planet from space, Earth would seem to be turning counterclockwise, with the moon traveling in the same direction, just more slowly. Nichols says Earth, of course, completes a rotation on its axis in about 24 hours, while the moon takes roughly a month to do a full orbital loop around the planet. During a total solar eclipse, the moon comes between Earth and the sun, with all three bodies lined up in the same plane. I want you to commit the term plane to memory, so that our natural satellite blocks the star's light and casts a shadow on Earth's surface. Suddenly, the west to east motion of the moon in the sky becomes far more obvious than it usually is. As the moon passes across the face of the sun, it casts its shadow in the same direction in which it is moving from west to east. It's a rising in a setting concept, quote unquote, says Jackie Faraday, an astronomer and senior education manager at the American Museum of Natural History. Quote, it has everything to do with the way the moon is moving, end quote. The lunar shadow moves at more than 1,000 miles per hour across Earth's face during an eclipse. Now, this is significant too, because they say that this is the speed at which the Earth is rotating. But supposedly, the Earth, it just said earlier that the moon is moving a little bit slower as the Earth is rotating. But, once again, like I said, but let's continue to keep reading. Nichols says, which is why any given location experiences totality. The moment the moon completely blocks the sun for only a few minutes so basically what they're saying is, because of this motion, because the moon is moving, its shadow is moving at 1,000 miles per hour. This is one of the reasons why you're going to be able to see the totality in different parts of the Earth, different parts of this country. Okay, because it would be moving at 1,000 miles an hour. So that's why we're all going to be able to see it simultaneously. This is the Blanco's reason. We're going to go through his science first. Okay. All right. So only for a few minutes during the 2024 eclipse, the longest duration of totality would be 4 minutes and 28 seconds near Torreon, Mexico, according to Earth Sky. All right. Solar eclipses take different paths across Earth depending on which side of the planet is facing the moon when it passes in front of the sun. There are some patterns to these depths. Though known as solar cycles, these patterns are determined by the path of the moon's orbit around Earth and its distance from our planet at the time of an eclipse, Nichols says. They lead to eclipse paths with repeated shapes, albeit at different locations on Earth, approximately every 18 years and 11 days. But whatever its precise path, every eclipse travels from west to east. That's what you need to know. All right. So let's go on to this other article. Okay, we're finna go to another article. All right. Give me 1 second to grab this. Let's see. Science behind. Hold on 1 second. Let me bounce up out of this right quick, you guys. It's always easy for me to do it. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, this is gonna be some exciting stuff, right? Hold on, where did this article go? Where'd you go? Sorry about that, you guys. Hold on 1 second. It's not the NTS article. All right. Once again, here go to hate. Go to hate. Let me type this in right quick, you guys. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen right quick. All right, how to see the 2024 eclipse path of totality times live stream state by state guide. All right. On Monday, April 8th, the sky's most dramatic event occurs at the path of a total solar eclipse sweeps across the U.S. and the 2024 eclipse begins. At such times, the moon is directly between the sun and earth, and it casts its shadow on our planet. Because the sun is large, the moon's shadow has two parts. If you are under the outer, lighter shadow called the penumbra, you will see a partial eclipse, but that's not the best place to see it. Ideally, your goal should be to stand beneath the moon's darker inner shadow, the umbra. Remember, I told you guys we already brought up, especially the esoteric side of the game with a lot of the R&B singers and stuff, specifically Rihanna, when she talked about umbrella, under my umbrella. Listen to the chorus too as well. The term umbrella comes from umbra. You see what I'm saying? We have to understand that's the shadow work, but the occult already knows that. We already know about our other song, Diamonds in the Sky, so we can continue on that. But this is not the point, obviously, of this segment, but just to kind of, let you know that they've been playing this game with us for a very long time. Now, so he says that ideally, you want to obviously be under the umbra or underneath the shadow. That's where day will turn into night, where several planets will become visible, and where the corona, the sun's normally invisible outer atmosphere, will shine forth in all its glory. So you give up one light for another. This is deep shit. They giving up one light for another. Something that they can't see, something that they say is extremely mysterious. They finally get an opportunity to see it. All right, commit that to memory. All right, hold on. I got it. All right. So it talks about, it looks at the trajectory and the times and stuff. So we're going to read some of these things because we're going to get the facts. Like we talked about with FOS Squad, we don't do conjecture. We don't just sit and talk. We're going to give you receipts, okay? The total length of the 2024 eclipse path is 9,190 miles. The magnitude of this eclipse is 565, which means the moon's diameter is 5.65% larger than the sun's. Only when the magnitude is 1 or more will there be a total eclipse. Greatest eclipse occurs at 2:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the maximum length of totality anywhere on Earth is 4 minutes, 28 seconds. That point is just a few miles north of the small town of Nazas, Mexico. What time is the 2024 eclipse? The time the eclipse occurs at any place varies across the U.S. We also have to take into account the change in time zones from central to eastern. This table shows the times for a dozen cities that would experience totality. Okay. So if you're in Dallas, Texas, you're going to theoretically receive totality at 142. If you're in Idabel, Oklahoma, you're going to see it at 147. Little Rock, Arkansas, you're going to see it at 152. Popular, continue, on and on, right? as it's traveling at 1,000 miles an hour. Remember the motion, okay? Okay, we got to remember all of these things, right? What makes the 2024 eclipse so special? You can't completely prepare yourself for the sight of the sun vanishing during the day. When the moment of totality arrives, you will experience extreme wonderment at the unspeakable beauty of the sun's corona and the panoply of colors and light in the suddenly darkened sky. Seeing a total solar eclipse is like nothing you've seen before. When you look at, when you look at the totally eclipsed sun, you will see the blackest black where the moon is. Woo, boy, we about to get into some occult stuff today. I don't even know if they ready. Surrounded by the sun's ever-changing and ethereal outer atmosphere, the corona. The quality of light at the moment when totality begins is stupendous, with an amazing show of iridescence, scintillation, and delicate colors. Oh, they bringing out the big words, baby. All right. While the sky will not be as dark as night as the moon's shadow approaches, the light will rapidly change. A few minutes before totality, it will seem like an eerie dim daylight. As totality begins, it will shift to a deep twilight. It's like nothing you've seen before. Okay, we get it. Nothing like we've seen before. Shit. All right. Venus, Jupiter, and the so-called Devil's Comet during the 2024 eclipse. What else can be seen during the eclipse? Unfortunately, no bright star will be within 50 degrees of the sun, but you will see two planets. Venus will lie 15 degrees west, southwest of the eclipsed sun, sighting this planet. The third brightest object in the sky after the sun and the moon should be simple 10 minutes before totality. Because it's not all that far from the brilliant sun, be cautious if you look for it through binoculars. One safe way is to position yourself in the shadow of a building, vehicle, or awning with the sun hidden just to the east. As long as your binoculars remain in the shadow, you can safely scan the sky for Venus. All right. Jupiter will lie on the other side of the sun from Venus, 30 degrees to the east, northeast. During the eclipse, Venus will blaze at the magnitude -3.9, while Jupiter comes in second at magnitude -2.1. The difference means that Venus will shine 5.25 times as bright as Jupiter. Still, the king of the planets will certainly pop into view during totality. Remember, Jupiter is named after Zeus. That's also something to keep in mind because, of course, like we said, these people claim to not believe in gods, but yet they name all of their scientific achievements after gods. Let's continue. Another sky object that possibly may be visible is Comet Pons Brooks, the Devil's Comet. Comets are notorious for not performing the way astronomers think they should, so don't spend a lot of time searching for it. If the comet has an outburst, as it has recently, it may be visible through binoculars during totality. Concentrate your gaze 6 degrees to the right of Jupiter. How far is 6 degrees? The field of view when you look through 7 times 50 binoculars in 7 degrees. Here's a chart showing the comet's position, so it goes off into that. So if you guys want to look up this article to think that they may be, giving you accurate descriptions on how to go about seeing some of this celestial phenomenon, right? All right. So, talks about some of the best places to see it. So we went over that. Now, this is important. When will the U.S. get another total eclipse? April's total eclipse is the last one for quite some time. The next eclipse to touch the U.S. will happen March 30, 2033. Aside from being almost a decade away, the line of totality for that eclipse will only cross parts of Alaska. The next eclipse to sweep across the 48 states is 2 decades away. On August 12, 2044, parts of Montana and North Dakota will experience totality. Why is this important? Why am I reading this? You know why this is important, you guys? This is important because I've been telling you that they know the times and the dates and locations where these eclipses are going to occur. Decades, hundreds of years before they happen. So when we told you, see, something that a lot of people didn't point out because they keep talking about their high analytical skills is that when you mention Carbondale, remember they named Carbondale after they realized where that was going to hit, where the eclipse would be. They named it Little Egypt after. See, this is why I tell you why all of this stuff is profound. We got to stop acting like the cracker, because the cracker is real good at this, getting you to think that a lot of these things are such a phenomenon that I don't know when it's happening. Oh, no. See, when they look at those stars are set in place. The reason why the moon and the sun is so special, obviously, is because they follow different paths. Okay? And so this is one of the reasons why they could always count on the stars for positioning. Our ancestors had always realized this, right? And we're starting to realize that. So when they have named these things, that's why I said that it's extremely significant that they named it Carbondale and that they're in expectation of something. But what is going to shock you, what is going to and should rattle you is what they are expecting to come through the corridor. And that's what we're about to explore. Oh, we about to leave. Every stone is about to be unturned in this segment. If you missed this live, well, of course, you can catch it on the replay, but you are going to miss one of the most phenomenal segments ever from one of the most dangerous minds on YouTube. Okay, if not the most dangerous. All right. So once again, we got to let you know what's going on because we're about to get into it. Let me take a look at this chat. Again, salute to Harry bringing forth that fire as usual. That's why I call it Corona crime, because it sounds like the sun. Yep, Corona is Spanish for crown. All right, so that's something we know. Oh, y'all in for a treat. All right, y'all finna go into this eclipse knowing exactly what's going on. You finna know they science and you finna know the occult science. Because like I said, we have to reacquaint ourselves with this because it's been such a long time since they taught us this. But they taught us when our minds were immature, and they did that by design because like I said, then they knew that Hollywood would pick up where school left off and where religion left off. All right, so that's why that's extremely important. So right now we're gonna go and we're gonna show you this picture again to remind you, because we talked about these crystals. We talked about what these crystals were, right? We're not going to go into a scientific description about these things because like we said, this is all detailed in previous segments, but the crystallogians, you already know what we're looking at right here. Sierra de Naica and Chihuahua, Mexico, in these caves, these crystals, these crystal formations, right? Crystals keep time, piezoelectricity. But we're not just going to talk about these things we always do. We're going to show you the significance of this by letting the Blanco talk, because not us, but our people have the God complex riddled within their psyche and just can't, for some odd reason, swallow this or allow it to digest because we're the ones saying it. All right, so let's get off into this video. We'll preface it by 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107. Allowances made for fair use for the purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, scholarship, education. But overall, here at the FOF Squad, waking your ass up.
The hammer and the crystal.
Let's get it.
Quite hard work. Like, it's not, when you press down on the trigger of a barbecue lighter, you'll notice it's quite hard work. Like, it's not like pressing the button on a remote control. You actually have to put some effort into it. And there's a reason for that. When you press down on the trigger, you're working against quite a stiff spring, so that all that work you do is stored as potential energy in the compressed spring. And in front of that spring is a tiny hammer, so that when the mechanism finally gives way and the spring is released, all that potential energy stored in the spring is turned into kinetic energy in the hammer. The hammer then strikes a special kind of crystal called a piezoelectric crystal. And
once again, like we said, that's why I told you, this is why this Blanco is a piezoelectricity. Even when you say this, if they make sure that when they sound it, because think about, pseudo starts with P, piezo, pseudo. They make it so that it sounds fake. And why couldn't the Blanco just say electric crystals? Nah, because he don't want to give it up. He got to say piezoelectricity, right? And so you just like, what the heck is that? It's all just crystals that create. All crystals have potential electricity, but we finna go off into this. Let's like I said, let's get into it.
You hit one of these things, it generates a voltage across the crystal. This is the inside of a barbecue lighter. This is the mechanism that houses the spring and the hammer and the crystal. These two wires are coming off the crystal and they're drawing that voltage up to the top of the lighter here. There's still a gap between the two wires at the top here, but the voltage that you produce when you press down on the piezoelectric crystal is so high that electricity can actually jump across that gap, producing a spark. If you send a flammable gas up to the top as well, then the spark will ignite the gas. For a while now, I've wanted to understand how the piezoelectric effect works on the molecular level, and I finally do. And I've also built something to make it easy for anyone to understand how it works. So that's what this video is about. There's a few different types of piezoelectric crystal that you can buy, but I'm going to look at quartz in particular, which is the first piezoelectric crystal to ever be discovered. This is what
now remind you, quartz. He said quartz, the first piezoelectricity to be discovered. What do we say that quartz is? We know that quartz is silicon dioxide, one silica atom with two oxygen atoms, right? That's what di means in chemistry. Silicon dioxide. Silicon dioxide is quartz. Quartz is sand. They hide it, we know, because they call their their technological hub over in the West Silicon Valley. That was the first quartz or first crystal that they used or learned how to, use electricity with. Okay, so like we said before, they been knew what could create electricity. They didn't have to use oil. They didn't have to use none of this other crap. They knew for a fact what could create clean energy, limitless energy. This is why I told you you have to understand the nature of who rules you. All right, let's continue.
Quartz crystal looks like. If you were to take a slice of quartz away from this crystal and compress it, you'd be able to measure a voltage across the slice, but you'd have to slice it at just the right angle like this. I don't know if this is the right angle, but it'd be something like that, and it's got to be just right. And to see why you've got to get the angle just right, we need to look at the lattice structure of quartz. So quartz is made of silicon dioxide, so it's silicon and oxygen, and this is what it looks like. At first it looks like quite a complicated structure, but as you rotate the crystal,
I'll be having to reinforce these things because, like I said, for people who knew, not us crystallologians, they don't understand this. Because one thing is, when you're visualizing these things, sometimes it's called a sleight of hand. We'll pay attention to what we were taught to from a conventional perspective, what we taught to in schools. We taught protons, atoms, and electrons. But those are only the energy inside of crystals. So when you hear proton colliders and them smashing protons together, they're smashing crystals together. But, watch how I put all this together. I'm just finna knock it out the park, bro. Let's go.
you find these symmetries like this one. But there's one particular angle that I'm interested in, which is this one. Notice this hexagonal shape here. It's actually a spiral going into the screen, but for simplicity, we're going to think of it as a ring. So these three crunchy peanut butter lids represent silicon atoms, and these three smooth peanut butter lids represent oxygen. So
remind you, he's talking about the atoms that represent, or that's inside, the silica and the oxygen to make a crystal. Remember, silica is kind of like a semi-metal. It's not really a metal. It's like a transition metal in carbon. This is chemistry. This is what they teach you in chemistry class. And oxygen, obviously, we know is a gas. Now think about this. Reframe your existence. You take a transition metal and you take a gas. When they bond together, they make a crystal. Let's go.
You compress a crystal of quartz, you're squishing these hexagons. But crucially, the bond between oxygen and silicon isn't quite even. Like, the oxygen is a bit more aggressive in the way it holds onto its electrons. So the oxygens are a little bit negatively charged and the silicons are a little bit positively charged. So think about where the average of all the positive charge is in this diagram. It's a bit like the center of mass, but it's the center of charge. So it's there in the middle between these three silicon atoms. But watch what happens when you compress the crystal. The two side silicons move outwards, but they don't move vertically. And the bottom silicon moves upwards. So the average position of these three positive charges moves upwards slightly. And similarly, think about the average position of the three negative charges. Look, the two side negative charges move outwards, but that top negative charge moves downwards. So the average of the three negative charges moves downwards. So when you compress a crystal of quartz in this exact orientation, you're slightly shifting all the negative charges in one direction and all the positive charges in the other direction. Suppose you've got a square slice of quartz crystal. Let's represent all the positive charge as gold and all the negative charge as red.
Okay, so we're not going, you could take a look at this video in its entirety, but what I wanted to, place an emphasis on was like you're seeing the potential energy inside of crystals. When you hit them or you spark them, they have stored electrical energy. All right. And when you compress them in a certain way, the negative energy will flow in one direction and the positive energy will flow in another direction just from compressing or hitting crystals. You see what I'm saying? So this is what they've known for a very long time. Now, let's talk about this because this is crucial. Let's go out of here. Let me just holler back at you right quick. because we got a lot to tackle. So basically what we're about to do, because now we're hearing a lot of this stuff about you know, the Hadron Collider, and they about to start activating some shit. Well, now we about to go right back to a video, because remember what we told you, placing emphasis on being fundamentally sound. Why did I just show you that last video? Not just for piezoelectricity, right? Knowing that crystals conduct electricity, because we already went over that, right? But we're showing you that because it's important for you to know that not one, that they've been aware of this technology for the longest, right? But two, hold on, let me make sure I got this. Seeing it a different, okay. So two, that when they had you know, put this together, they were putting crystals, they were banging crystals together, not the energy. We're so familiar with the energy inside crystals. So people keep talking about protons. Remember, protons is symbolic of a positive electric charge. Electrons are symbolic of a negative electric charge. Only thing you're talking about is the electrical energy. So when people say, oh, they got a proton and hadron collider, you're only talking about the energy. That what they say is how the electrical energy behaves. Remember, they named the electricity according to how it behaves. A neutron is neutral. That means it don't react with nothing. A proton is positive. That means it has a positive charge. An electron is a negative charge. So all these are just symbols of how electricity behaves. And the electricity is housed within the crystal. We about to prove our point. We're not finna go off into just talking, because like we said, we come here to bring the receipts. So we're going to preface this video with 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107. Allowances made for fair use for the purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, education, scholarship. But overall, here at the FOF squad, waking your ass up. All right. So, hold on one second. All right. That's a little bit too loud. All right. Let me see if this is okay. That should be all right. Turn it up if I need be. So let me share my screen. I'm Dion, say, like, when you make fire with Flintstones, exactly, because rocks are all crystals. You break a rock apart, you ain't gonna see nothing but crystalline formation. That's how we make fire. So to discover a fire is even a mythical. It's a lot, yeah. So yeah, we gonna, trust me, you guys are gonna be blown away by this. But okay, so the World Institution. Hold on, we gotta see that. Celebrating crystallography, Bragg Centenary, 1913 to 2013. We've shown this video before. All right, seeing things in a different light. How X-ray crystallography revealed the structure of everything. Let's always remind ourselves about this, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the 59-minute mark. All right, 59-minute mark of this, because we ain't gonna spend too much time on this because we've already dissected this video, but we're going to remind you, these are the people who work there. So this is why I say this is so important, because so many people on YouTube are giving, like we said, remember I told you about when does conjecture become conviction? We start acting out, or we start thinking the way that people, from the information that people give us. But I'm giving you information from people who work at these very facilities, not conjecture, not, oh, CERN is about to do this, CERN is about to do that. They call it the diamond facility. That's what they call it. And they shoot crystals. This guy that I'm showing you, like I said, works there. And I'm finna end this bitch with a bang. All right. But this guy works here. Okay. And what does he say that they do there? Let's go to the 59-minute mark. We're going to probably go, let's go 57. March. We're ready for March. See, bullshit to distract you. Look at that shit. Mindless shit. Mindless garbage. Oh, hold on.
And it has just gone from strength to strength. That result was from the 1960s. These days, we now we have much better kit, but we're basically doing the same thing. We are still growing crystals. We are still collecting X-ray diffraction.
We're still growing crystals. Now they know how to grow. They're growing crystals themselves because they mimic, mind you, they only reverse engineer what Mother Nature's doing. We showed you that Mother Nature's growing crystals in caves. We showed you what she does. She grows them naturally. Of course, he wants to play God, and like most, it's easy for him to do it in front of our people because they've been captivated, right? Brainwashed. But this is what he intends to do. All right.
patterns, and we are still solving structures. The kit's a bit better, so rather than a Crookes tube, which is what the Bragg started out with, we've got one of these. This is a particle accelerator.
Particle accelerator. Particle accelerator, okay? So once again, okay, let's let them talk.
In the Oxfordshire countryside near Didcot. This is the diamond light source. It is the most expensive scientific facility that Britain has built in the last 10 or 20 years.
Most expensive science facility Britain has built in the last 10 or 20 years. Okay, let's continue.
Years, and it is something that we should be very proud of. It's an excellent world-class facility. So now we just grow our crystals and we take them to diamond.
Now we just grow our crystals, we take them to diamond, and we fire X-rays at them.
And we fire X-rays at them. And instead of the sort of early patterns like hemoglobin, this is now a modern day.
Remember, hemoglobin, your blood, that's a crystal. They know that's a crystal. Mind you, this is what I said. This is what they know. This is a guy in front of the Royal Society, in front of all of these rich people, somebody who works there. Not somebody who knows somebody who worked there, who knew of somebody who talked about it and sent a leaked email. None of this. Who took a whistleblower. None of this. This guy works there. Okay, so I'm tired of people talking about what they think they may be doing with these particle colliders and accelerators and shit. He's telling you what they're doing. Man, where is white Jesus when you need him?
Diffraction pattern. And as we illuminate the crystal, we can rotate it. And instead of collecting data on photographs, we now have electronic detectors that capture the diffraction almost in real time. And from all of these different images, we can then work out structure after structure. And so the technique really has matured, really has grown up. From sodium chloride, which was just 2 atoms in 1912, 1913, to lysozyme, which is probably a couple of thousand atoms in the 60s. We now have structures like this. This is actually a sodium potassium ATPase. So this is salt, and this is a molecule, a transporter that sits in your cell membranes and regulates the...
Salt is a crystal, and it sits in your cell membrane transport shit. Crystals ride inside of crystals, but we know this. But it's so hard for this to capture our people's imagination because undoubtedly they've been educated by conventional science, and I get it. The mind fuck from the K through 12 manipulation crisis is ridiculous, but this is the way the world operates, and you have to understand that this is a science that they use to uncover matter. Okay, let's continue.
Influx and efflux of the sodium and potassium ions to maintain a healthy salt balance within the living cell. So this is a gigantic structure. However, it's not very big compared to this. And this is the ribosome. And the ribosome is a monster.
Now, if you study biology, first of all, he just talked about it. You have eukaryotic cells, prokaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells obviously are multicellular cells. They have different compartments within the cell: ribosomes, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, the nucleus, mitochondria, etc. We can go on and on, right? So this ribosome is also a yeast, though. It acts and behaves. It's considered to be a yeast. You have yeast and bacteria in your cells that work with you. Like we said, you share your body. So when you get out of this idea that you're just one and that you are a living representation or a reflection of Mother Earth, the sooner you're going to be able to understand how to transform yourself. So this is ribosome. They call it ribosome in science, but I'm going to show you the other name that he has for it. Let's go.
So this is the ribosome from a yeast, which is a eukaryotic cell. It's a sophisticated type of cell, which is the same type of organism that we are. It's just we are.
So the ribosome in the yeast. So they took the ribosome out of the yeast, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, like they said, the yeast has the same characteristics as we do because it's a eukaryotic cell. You see what I'm saying? So that's how they're able to manipulate this shit. But like we said before, when they take, this genetic engineering, like taking, cellular structures out of other organisms and then placing them inside of human beings, mixing and matching crystals is what they've been doing. You see what I'm saying? For a very long time. So that's what you got to understand. So when you see these outbreaks with food and all of this, different shit, this is how it's coming about. Whether it's good or bad, this is how it's coming about because this is a grand experiment. They've been crystal hunting and crystal mixing and matching for the longest. All right.
A many-celled organism, and yeast is only a single-celled organism. But this is a truly gigantic structure. Bragg's first structure had 2 atoms. The ribosome has 404,714 atoms in this crystal.
Ribosome has 404,714 atoms in this crystal structure. Understand how important this is for you, that this is how it helps you to visualize this. Atoms have what? Are made up of what they call subatomic particles, electrons, protons, and neutrons. Okay, so what they're saying is that the crystals is what holds this energy. This is inside the crystals. So often we begin to imagine atoms, protons, neutrons, and electrons, and we hear a proton, we hear all of these particles that they discover, but the particles are nothing but energy inside of crystals. That is what you need to know, okay? Let's go.
Structure. It's truly a monster. It might even be said to be akin to the monstrosity of Hook's flea. I wish that it would capture the public imagination in quite the same way. But it's worth bearing in mind that this flea contains many millions of copies of a molecule just like this. The ribosome is an enormous and powerful machine which helps us to decode the genetic code and synthesizes proteins. So from all of
this, so X-ray, okay, listen to him, watch him.
Those techniques, from X-ray crystallography applied to salt, we have moved to brand new territory. And so we are learning all the time about life, and we're learning about it in a ways that are brand new. And so if we now just finally look at the ribosome in the wild, so to speak, you can see where it takes its place inside the cell. And this is a beautiful painting from a book by David Goodsall. If I show it up here to give him the credit for it. This shows the molecular interior of a cell. This is bringing together all the knowledge we have about what molecules are present and what structures they're likely to have. We haven't yet solved all these structures, but thanks to crystallography, we very soon will be able to do so. Finally, we are solving structures on Earth, but crystallography has moved beyond this planet. And on the Curiosity rover that NASA sent to Mars last year, there is an
right. So not only is he on Earth banging crystals together, they out in space with NASA. This is that's what I'm telling y'all. This is NASA work right here. So anything related to any understanding of the Earth, any understanding of matter. Remember, there are 4 phases of matter: solid, liquid, gas, plasma. Anything that has to do with matter, the only understanding that's going to come about of it is through the science of X-ray crystallography. Let's continue.
Instrument that does X-ray diffraction, and the robot arm can toss a sample of soil into this device, and it can take an X-ray diffraction pattern on Mars. And so X-ray crystallography has moved off-world, so to speak, and is now telling us that the soil on Mars is a bit like Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, they really laugh because they know the inside joke. They ain't never been to Mars. Yeah, the soil like Hawaii, bitch, because that's probably where you was when you filmed this shit. Get your ass out of here with your unfunny ass.
I don't think the climate is quite as nice. And this, again, is just a structure from this week's Nature, published on Wednesday. Another monster. This is a polymerase that actually makes the RNA that is used to build the ribosome. And so we are making connection after connection at the atomic level. So I hope you will now agree with me that X-ray crystallography is one of the most powerful methods that science has produced in the 20th century and has truly allowed us to see the world in a completely different light.
Oh, no, they didn't kick him out for being pseudo, did he? No, rounds of applause, rounds of applause. That's what it said. They see them in a totally different light. So we're going to push right on to the new the next article, right? Letting you know that that's what, if anything's going on with with colliders and particle accelerators and shit, you know what's behind it. You know it's about smashing crystals together. No more of this shit like, I wonder what they're doing. You know exactly what they're doing. Oh, but it gets even more nefarious, but we ain't even started cooking yet. We just getting this shit, man. This is like appetizers right now because we about to get into the heat, right? So like we said, now you got let's go to this article. Let's go to this article. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, you guys. All right. this out. Maybe get another little room. Okay. All right, I found it. All right, because we got to dig deeper. We're going to get more information, right? We're going to get more information. Okay? So I'm going to share my screen. And after we run through this information, you guys, because I want you guys to know, you're going to know about the sun, you're going to know about eclipses, you're going to know about the moon. We've already explored the moon's phases and all that different shit, but we're about to figure out, you know what I'm saying? All of this stuff is about to be clear. So it's not about me just, changing the narrative. We're about to see if whether or not his explanation of the cosmos stands up with his own science. Against his own science, okay? Solar eclipses. Have you ever experienced a total solar eclipse? The moon appears as a dark disk, okay? A dark disk. This is important, okay? That slips in front of the sun, blocking the sun entirely from view for just a few minutes. The sky darkens as if the sun is about to set, even though it may be the wrong time of day for sunset. The air feels a bit cooler because sunlight is blocked. You might notice a hush among insects and birds that are usually active during the day, temporarily tricked into thinking that nightfall is approaching. They ain't tricked, bitch. You tricked, okay? Or even a bustle of activity among animals confused by the sudden darkness. A solar eclipse is an exciting event to experience should you happen to be in the right place at just the right time. Okay, what caused the solar eclipse? We kind of went over that, a solar eclipse. Now, as you can see, some of these whack-ass illustrations that they got, usually it's in the path of direct sunlight, all right? Now, like we said before, even though we know that this is just a 3D image and stuff like that, it's supposed to be helpful for kids and all that different shit, we always have to be aware of what we had learned already, okay? They say that this Earth, right, can fit into, well, hold on, let's go off into the facts, right? Let's stop, all right? The moon is about 400 times smaller than the sun, and through a cosmic coincidence, also about 400 times closer to Earth. This makes the sun and moon appear almost the same size in the sky, allowing the moon to completely cover the sun during a solar eclipse. A solar eclipse can be viewed from the sunny side of the Earth and only from locations where the moon's shadow falls on the Earth. You'll see a total eclipse if you are right in the middle of the moon's shadow. If you are closer to the edges of the moon's shadow, you'll see a partial eclipse. And if you are outside the moon's shadow, you won't see any eclipse. Okay, the eclipse path falls on the same location only once every 375 years or so. So the eclipse path falls on the same location only once every 375 years or so. So that's why this is crucial for Carbondale, because it just doesn't happen. Okay, because the movements of the moon and Earth are precisely known. Because the moon and Earth, the movements of the moon and Earth are precisely known, the dates, times, locations, and other characteristics of future solar eclipses are predictable. Okay, so let you know, once again, I'm proving my point in terms of, I know I'm running through this shit. I know what this Blanco talking about. All right, types of solar eclipses. The type of solar eclipse depends on where the moon is in its orbit around the Earth and on about the 5-degree tilt to the angle of the moon's orbit. The exact position of the moon between the sun and the Earth depends on these two factors and determines whether a total, annular, or hybrid eclipse will occur. All right, so we got total eclipse, annular eclipse, all that different shit. The annular eclipse is very, very interesting. An annular eclipse is called the Ring of Fire. Where have we heard that shit before? The moon has an elliptical or oval-shaped orbit around the Earth, which means that sometimes it's closer to us and sometimes it's farther away. During an annular eclipse, the moon is farther away from Earth, so it appears too small to completely block out the sun. Instead, you will see a bright ring of sunlight shining out from the edges of the moon. And so that's what's an annular eclipse, and they call it the Ring of Fire. Okay, they call it the Ring of Fire, but we know what the Ring of Fire is. And is it a far-fetched that, things are called the Ring of Fire and all that different shit? No, it's not. No, because we're about to explain that. Now, here we go again with this 2D representation. Looks like a disc that's supposed to be Earth. Nothing could be further from the truth, all right? We've already broken that down, but we'll continue to keep doing this. One thing is happening. Mind you, they're showing you movement. Look at this shit. They showing you movement. So we can't sit up here and say, okay, what? I wish that this shit could get off the screen, but you guys can see this. They're showing you movement right here, but this bitch not spinning. You got the clouds moving. You got the shadow of the moon going over the Earth, but you ain't got no spinning. Remind you, I'm trying to use his science to make this shit make sense. He said that this motherfucker is spinning at 1,000 miles a fucking hour, with the moon also spinning around the earth at 1,000 motherfucking miles an hour, traveling around the sun at an additional 66,000 miles an hour, while the sun is traveling around the Milky Way at 460,000 miles an hour. His whole paradigm to this space bullshit is movement, and yet I see nothing moving. I am killing you niggas. Okay? And we just getting started. All right? We just getting started. I ain't even got started yet. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that Ring of Fire. I don't need to look up illustrations of that because we showed you where the Ring of Fire was located at. It's obviously, we talked about in the Pacific Ocean. You got Japan and all of these, these countries, the Philippines. You got the coast of, you have the Cascade Mountains where you have Mount St. Helens, right? You got Mount Krakatoa in Indonesia. You got, like we said, the ranges in the Philippines. You got the Andes along South America. So you got all these mountains and over 400 volcanoes are in the Ring of Fire. Over 400 volcanoes are in the Ring of Fire. Oh, yeah. And like Bama Girl said, don't forget on the tilt. Oh, yeah, we about to go into it. We're going to give you the Blanco science. We're going to see if his own science holds up his shit. His science. When his outlook is tested against his own science, it don't even hold weight. That's what I'm telling people. Not nothing the Crystallologists have come up with. This is all his shit. All right? All right. So we're going to go to an article on sun facts. All right? We're going to dig deep off into this shit because this is going to help us put it all together. We're going to put all of this shit together. All right? Hold on. Let me break out of it. What am I trying? I'm doing extra. Do it extra. Let's see. Because this is important. This article right here is very, very important. All right. I always find it when I bounce out, bitch. I'm supposed to be smooth with my shit. You trying to fuck up my mojo. You know what I'm saying? All right. Let me share the screen. And this is NASA, people. My bad for the echo, y'all. All right. So, okay. Our sun facts, okay? Our sun is a 4.5 billion year old yellow dwarf star, a hot glowing ball of hydrogen and helium at the center of our solar system. It's about 93 million miles from Earth, and it's our solar system's only star. Without the sun's energy, life as we know it cannot exist on our home planet. But Blanco, you don't act like that. I see you streaking up in the sky every time you get a chance. You trying to block out the sun. Anyways. From our vantage point on Earth, the sun may appear like an unchanging source of light and heat in the sky, but the sun is a dynamic star, constantly changing and sending energy out into space. The science of studying the sun and its influence throughout the solar system is called heliophysics. The sun is the largest object in our solar system. Its diameter is about 865,000 miles. Its gravity holds the solar system together, keeping everything from the biggest planets to the smallest bits of debris in orbit around it. Even though the sun is the center of our solar system and is central to our survival, it's only an average star in terms of its size. Stars up to 100 times larger have been found, and many solar systems have more than one star. By studying our sun, scientists can better understand the workings of distant stars. It ain't our sun, bitch. It's our sun, not y'all's. You ain't got shit to do with it. The hottest part of the sun is its core, where temperatures top 27 million degrees Fahrenheit. The part of the sun we call its surface, the photosphere, is a relatively cool 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And one of the sun's biggest mysteries, the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, gets hotter the further it stretches from the surface. The corona reaches up to 3.5 million degrees, much, much hotter than the photosphere. Okay? The sun has been called by many names. The Latin word for sun is sol, which is the main adjective for all things sun-related. Solar, Helios, the sun god in ancient Greek mythology. All right, once again, as Blanco claims he don't believe in God, but remember, he said that the study of the sun is heliophysics, right? And he named it after a Greek god. Lends his name to many sun-related terms as well, such as heliosphere and helioseismology, all right? Potential for life. The sun cannot harbor life as we know it because of its extreme temperatures and radiation, yet life on Earth is only possible because of the sun's light and energy, all right? Size and distance. The sun is a medium-sized star with a radius of about 400. They went over that. Okay. It says that the sun is more massive than our home planet. It would take more than 330,000 Earths to match the mass of the sun, and it would take 1.3 million Earths to fill the sun's volume. Okay. All right, so we learning about this, bitch. This is what this cracker talking about. He said that the sun orbits the center of the Milky Way, bringing it with planets, asteroids, comets, and other objects in our solar system. The solar system is moving with an average velocity of 450,000 miles per hour. But even at this speed, it takes about 230 million years for the sun to make one complete trip around the Milky Way. The sun rotates on its axis, so the sun spins, you guys. Did you know that? Okay, as it revolves around the galaxy. Its spin has a tilt of 7.25 degrees with respect to the plane of the planet's orbits. Since the sun is not solid, different parts rotate at different rates. At the equator, the sun spins around once about every 25 Earth days, but at its poles, the sun rotates once on its axis every 36 Earth days. Okay. Sun doesn't have any moons, obviously. The sun would have been surrounded by a disk of gas and dust early in its history when the solar system was first formed about 4.6 billion years ago. Blah, blah, blah. Goes on to that. All right. Formation. Obviously talks about it came out of a nebula. Here we go again with a 3D model representation. Obviously, they might as well say that's the same thing that they be going out there and shooting because it look exactly like the same shit, right? All right. This is very important. The sun doesn't have a solid surface like Earth and the other rocky planets and moons. The part of the sun commonly called its surface is the photosphere. The word photosphere means light sphere, which is apt because this is the layer that emits the most visible light. It's what we see from Earth with our eyes. So the Blanco's telling you right now that disk that you see when you're looking up in the sky, that's called the photosphere. It's the sun's light making a sphere. That's what that is. And he put it in quotation marks because that's what he's telling you. He's saying that you're not seeing a disk. What you're seeing is a light disk or a light sphere. Not the actual sun, but the sphere of the sun that it makes as the light is being transmitted to Earth. All right? That's what he's telling you you're seeing. All right? So that's very important. That's what he talks about it not being solid. Because once again, remember I told you a lot of this shit is hitting in plain sight. He keeps using words like disk and face. Because remember we told you we're going to go back we already let you know with vertices, faces, and edges. We told you according to his math, this is a two-dimensional celestial being. Right? But he says that it spins, it's a ball, and all the different shit. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to continue to keep going on with the science right quick. All right? We're not going to, all right? Hold on right quick. Light sphere. All right. Hold on one second. All right. So I want to go to a definition of a disk right quick, just so that you guys know what's going on. Definition of a disk. The seemingly flat figure of a celestial body. This is like what this Blanco do. It's like kind of like shades of like, you know, when he be telling us he make all of these slavery movies and asks black people why they always talk about slavery. You use words like dis and flat and then wonder why people talk about quote unquote flat earth. It's seemingly flat. It appears to be flat. It's not really flat. I've been out there. I got telescopes and I've got satellites. I've taken pictures of this shit. You see what I'm saying? So I kind of know what I'm talking about. Yeah, right. Okay, we about to see. All right, so we about to go to let's look. Let's revisit this right quick. Vertices, faces, and edges. All right, we want to go down to 2 dimensions and solid shapes. Planes. Any 2-dimensional shape that is closed and flat is known as a plane shape. You talking about planes, ecliptical, you know what I'm saying? All this different shit. They do not have thickness. Here goes circle, oval, the faces. These are all, according to his math, are two-dimensional shapes, right? This is his science. Okay, three-dimensional objects with length, breadth, and height are known as solid shapes. Remember, he told you the sun's not solid. It's not solid. Okay, it's not three-dimensional. According to what you see, but your eyes is playing tricks on you, nigga. It's really 3D, but it's showing itself as 2D. I don't know. You got to wrap your head around that shit. Just like how when he tell you about the stars, he tell you that that's some light that burned out millions of years ago, but it's just now getting to you. Boy, this Blanco a good storyteller. No wonder Disney is as great as it is, because this motherfucker know how to tell some stories. And how do you know this Blanco lying? Because his lips is moving. All right? That's how the fuck you know. So what we're going to do, we're about to go to the most amazing, because remind you, what we want to know is one thing. Look, okay, let me talk to you. Because you know what a lot of people not saying? You know what a lot of people not asking in terms of this eclipse? But I asked this question because I want to know. This is the court of public opinion. So we want the Blanco to be able to defend himself. And we're going to have him use his science to defend himself. So I asked a pertinent question. I said, okay, NASA's getting involved. NASA's talking about shooting rockets. Okay, well, somebody let us know. NASA has an international space station. Why don't we just watch the eclipse from the space station? Oh, okay. So let's see what the Blanco did, because remind you, he said that there was already a solar eclipse, the same solar eclipse, and in America, right? That came in 2017 in August. Let's see what he did in August, because he claims he was out there and he took some photos. So let's see what the Blanco came up with from the International Space Station in 2017 in August when the eclipse came at that day. All right. So let's get to it. Oh yeah, I'm on your ass. I'm on your ass. Hold on. Let me cue this shit right quick. Let me cue it. Let me cue it. All right. Okay. The most amazing 2017 total solar eclipse photos taken from space. Look, astronauts' view of total solar eclipse of August 21st, 2017. Shit's upside down. This look upside down. Obviously, the camera should be attached to the satellite. I don't know, but the letters are upside down. The Earth, I don't know if I'm looking at orientation, depth perception. Remember, I talked about how they always manipulate this, because you're going to see a similar photo. This is the umbra. This is the moon shadow right here. This is the moon shadow on the Earth. This ball right here. But notice, like we said, this shadow, we already read this. This shadow's supposed to be moving at 1,000 motherfucking miles an hour. Holy shit. And hold on, what did the Blanco say? He said, oh shit. Expedition 52 flight engineer Paolo Nespoli of the European Space Agency photographed the umbra shadow of the Great American Solar Eclipse as it darkened an area near the limb of the Earth, about 1,050 miles. So this motherfucking satellite is not only 1,000 motherfucking miles away, it took a picture of a shadow that was traveling at 1,000 motherfucking miles. I don't think you know how godlike this Blanco is. Woo! Holy shit. Here it go again. Holy shit. Oh, he tripping me out. All right, so here go the umbra right here. Okay, another view of the total solar eclipse of August 21st, 2017 from the International Space Station. This is just how many people have looked up this evidence, huh? How many people you know on YouTube looking up this evidence? Because they not the most dangerous mind on YouTube. Because you know what? Most people scared to look up some shit because they think it may prove their ideology, their stance wrong. Bitch, prove me wrong. I want the Blanco to be telling the truth. Because if it is space, it's somewhere for your ass to go when we kick your ass off this planet. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's continue. This is a space station. Now, mind you, it's so hard to see continents, but one thing he's challenging once again is my eyesight. I see no motion. I just don't see motion. Maybe there is some here. I don't know about you guys. If you guys see motion, mind you, the Earth is supposed to be spinning at 1,000 miles an hour on side of a tilt, revolving around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour with the umbra traveling at 1,000 miles an hour. We gonna remind you of this shit. This whole time. Does his outlook of the cosmos hold weight with his own fucking science? See, ain't nobody ever broke this shit down like this, but this is the age of the great reveal, and we about to kick his ass. We about to kick his ass, all right? Now, look at this Blanco right here. Expedition 52 flight engineer Paolo Nespoli of the European Space Agency poses with this camera, equipped with a 400mm lens and a solar filter in preparation to photograph the solar eclipse inside the cupola of the International Space Station. Look at him and all his lying ass. But you can't blame a fish for swimming. This is what this Blanco say. He got one hell of a camera, right? According to him. All right, here go this ball. But remind you, this shit not supposed to be solid. They say they took a picture of the sun. The sun's not solid. They said 250 miles of the sun atmosphere is something called the photosphere. Just light that looks like a sphere. Not an actual ball, just light. That's why it's called photo, light, sphere. Light ball. Oh, he got an excuse for everything now. Now, the moon's shadow makes landfall over the Pacific Northwest. Oh, now we see land. This is an actual picture. This was taken by the Gold 16 geocolor image of the 2017 solar eclipse. Now, we've already established that the land masses are off. Blanco admits that. He's saying that he changed up, but he claimed that he took this with one of his satellites. Here's the umbra. There's the moon. Shadow right there on the Pacific. Okay? This is his motherfucking, this is what he said he took a picture of. No spinning, no motion. He may even have the clouds move, but I guess the clouds move, the earth sits still while it's, I don't know, maybe 1,000 miles an hour is so fast, shit looks still. I don't know. I've never seen anything travel at 1,000 miles an hour. So we're all in virgin territory. We don't know what something looks like traveling at 1,000 miles an hour. Maybe that's what he's banking on. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's banking on. Here he goes again. This looks worse. This looks like a marble. This looks like something. I mean, I could do this shit. I could. There go the shadow right there. This is what he claims. Okay. So but see, he don't put you see, with something this big, why didn't he put this shit on NBC and ABC? Why didn't he put this on Fox News? You had this big solar eclipse and you took all these photos. Nobody saw them. That's just like me going to my graduation, my child's graduation or something, not taking photos. Mother, well, you should have been there. You should have saw it. And, nigga graduated all cum laude. Woo, look at, now it's what is this? What type of, what we got going on here? All right. Especially knowing that the North America is not big as South America, but this is the photo the Blanco claimed that he took, and he claims that it's not spinning because he stopped it when he took a photograph, and he was able to catch an umbra or a shadow that travels at 1,000 motherfucking miles an hour in a still shot. Okay? That's what he said. That's what he said he did. Okay, let me explain something to you right quick, because we finna explain something. Okay. So we know that when we're dealing with this, and this could be something that could be, sort of challenge to us when we thought about it, because we didn't know whether or not any of this information we were going to be able to use it, right? Because we were taught these things when we were young and obviously intellectually, immature. So when we take a look at the seasons, remember, he tells you that the seasons are come because of the tilt. All right. So this is just side information because we don't have a lot of time to look up all, to do a lot of these articles, because I'm about to show you now. We finna go deep off into the occult. All of the shit that I've just been doing, this has nothing compared to what we about to get into. We about to blow your mind. All right. So what he recognizes that, when he's dealing with the earth, he understands that, the earth has this tilt according to him. Okay. And the tilt accounts for the seasons. Now, you have the solstices and you have the equinoxes. All right. The equinox is Latin for equal nights. Nox means night. Equal obviously means equal. Equal nights. That's what the equinoxes are, right? And the equinoxes also suggest that the earth is no longer tilting. That is just facing the sun. That means everywhere on earth gets the same amount of time, same amount of light, same amount of darkness. All right, that's the equinox. Equinox obviously occurs in the 3rd month in March, and it occurs in the 9th month in September. All you got to remember is 3 and 9. 3-9 equinox. Okay, then you have the solstices. All right, solstices is Latin. Sol means sun. We went over this. Sistere is Latin to stand still. Hear me on this. Oh, I'm about to break this down. Sistere means to stand still. The solstice literally means the sun is standing still. Okay, so the solstices are on the months 6 and 12. 3, 9, 6, 12. That's why it's easy to remember. The 6th month is June for the summer solstice. The 12th month is the winter solstice for us in the northern hemisphere. It's the opposite on the bottom, right? For the southern hemisphere. The winter is in the 6th and then the summer is in the 12th. Now, this is the point. Solstice means to stand still. Remember, I told you that a paradigm is the foundation on which knowledge rests. The paradigm of Blanco science for space is movement. So this is the point once again. If our ancestors were people who were pagans and they didn't have it right, why would you still continue to keep the concept of the sun standing still? Solstice means that in the winter solstice, the sun looks like it's standing still for 3 days and then it moves in the other direction. Okay, that's what it moves into the other hemisphere. That's what the idea is. But how is that? That's conflictual when you've built a science based on movement. You claim the sun is always shooting around at hundreds of thousands of miles a fucking hour, traveling around the Milky Way. How does it ever appear that it's standing still? What? Oh, yeah, Kyle would say, oh, Tesla said understand 3, 6, 9, and 12. Yeah, you better say, because that's how. Oh, we about to show you. We about to blow the doors out. Ain't no more. You ain't going to be wondering about what Nikola Tesla and all them was talking about. And you know what I'm saying? What's the other, these billionaires now from Jeff Bezos to Elon Musk, all of the hidden symbolism. You about to know exactly what's going on. Y'all ready to go? Y'all ready to get your wig blown back? You ready to see why we the most dangerous fucking channel on ScrewTube right now? Because we're the only ones to uncover this. We about to get into it, right? So I'm glad that those who did stay, you're in for a real treat. You're in for a real treat. All right. Now, what I'm about to show you guys is what's the real, because we got to tackle Easter at the same time. There's no way that we could talk about the occult without talking about Easter. Remember we told y'all about the symbolism, what our people did around this time to celebrate, because we came from our own natural energy, right? The eggs were symbolic of the woman's ovaries, right? You see what I'm saying? That's what Easter, but then they threw the rabbit in there. But this is something that you have to understand, with something that you slip past you. All right, we talked about engineering, and we talked about how they have to use certain species who have certain crystals in order to make themselves whole. We showed you the documentary of Nestle creating the artificial breast milk, right? Using the crystals or the lactose crystal from the cow in order to make themselves whole. Okay, what also would they use in order to make themselves whole for their pineal gland to study? They saw that they had a similar crystal with something else, that another god, that is the God of all gods, according to them, the God that they intend to bring from this solar eclipse. Are y'all hearing me? I'm about to blow the doors down for y'all. Y'all better be ready for this. Y'all better be ready for this, because we about to blow the doors down off of this shit, all right? And it's finna start from a very, very peculiar beginning. And you're going to be like, hey, Rue, please make this shit make sense. And I'm going to love it, because you are in my house, doctor. You know what I'm saying? In the words of Calvin Candy. So let's go to this. Let's throw a huge left. Let's throw a curveball right quick, and let's see if it all makes sense. All right? So we're going to go off into an article that y'all swear y'all going to be like, hey, Rue, I'm rocking with Hey, Rue. Please, Hey, Rue, make this shit make sense. Please, Hey, Rue, make it make sense, all right? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it all make sense. I'm going to make it all make sense. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to go wild? Y'all ready? Y'all told y'all truth is stranger than fiction. This shit finna be crazy. All right. Now, this crazy. Like I said, y'all ready? I'm finna throw this shit way left right quick, then come right back center. This the nastiest crossover I ever did. You know how motherfuckers like, hey, Rue can't make this shit make sense. Oh, boy, but I can. Let's go. I'm not even finna hold y'all in suspense no longer. Let's share my screen. How the chicken conquered the world. What? Hey, Rue, what is Hey, Rue on? What is he on? What is he on? The epic begins 10,000 years ago in an Asian jungle and ends today in kitchens all over the world. All right. Printed June 2012, Jerry Adler. Y'all ready? Let's get it. The chickens that saved Western civilization were discovered, according to legend, by the side of a road in Greece in the first decade of the 5th century BC. The Athenian general Themistocles, on his way to confront the invading Persian forces, stopped to watch 2 cocks fighting, then summoned his troops, saying, "Behold, these do not fight for their household gods, for the monuments of their ancestors, for glory, for liberty, for the safety of their children, but only because one will not give way to the other." The tale does not describe what happened to the loser, nor explain why the soldiers found this display of instinctive aggression inspirational rather than pointless and depressing. But history records that the Greeks, thus heartened, went on to repel the invaders, preserving the civilization that today honors those same creatures by breeding, frying, and dipping them into one's choice of sauce. The descendants of those roosters might well think, if they were capable of such profound thought, that their ancient forebears have a lot to answer for. Let's continue. Okay, let's go down here. Let's get to the meat of this. How did the chicken achieve such a cultural and culinary dominance? It is all the more surprising in light of the belief by many archaeologists that chickens were first domesticated not for eating but for cockfighting. Until the advent of large-scale industrial production in the 20th century, the economic and nutritional contribution of chickens was modest. In Guns, Germs, and Steel, Jared Diamond, which is an excellent book that you guys need to get, it talks about how the Blanco, he says that these 3 things, guns, germs, and steel, are how Europeans took over the world. But I digress. Jared Diamond lists chickens among the small domestic mammals and domestic birds and insects that have been useful to humanity, but unlike the horse or the ox, did little outside of legends to change the course of history. Nonetheless, the chickens has inspired contributions to culture, art, cuisine, science, and religion over the millennia. Chickens were and still are a sacred animal in some cultures. The prodigious and ever-watchful hen was a worldwide symbol of nurturance and fertility. Eggs hung in Egyptian temples to ensure a bountiful river flood. The lusty roofer, aka cock, was a universal signifier of virility, but also in the ancient Persian faith of Zoroastrianism, a benign spirit that crowed at dawn to herald a turning point in the cosmic struggle between darkness and light. For the Romans, the chicken's killer app was fortune-telling, especially during wartime. Chickens accompanied Roman armies, and their behavior was carefully observed before battle. All right? A good appetite meant victory was likely, according to the writings of Cicero, when one contingent of birds refused to eat before a sea battle in 249 BC. An angry consul threw them overboard. History records that he was defeated. Okay, but one major religious tradition, ironically, that gave rise to matzo ball soup on the Sunday chicken dinner, failed to imbue chickens with much religious significance. The Old Testament passages concerning ritual sacrifice reveal a distinct preference on the part of Yahweh for red meat over poultry. In Leviticus 5:7, a guilt offering of 2 turtle doves or pigeons is acceptable if the sinner in question is unable to afford a lamb. But in no instance does the Lord request a chicken. Matthew 23:37 contains a passage in which Jesus likens his care for the people of Jerusalem to a hen caring for a brood. This image, had it caught on, could have completely changed the course of Christian iconography, which has been dominated instead by depictions of the good shepherd. So they replaced this chicken and hen shit with we familiar with the sheep and the shepherd. The rooster plays a small but crucial role in the Gospels in helping to fulfill the prophecy that Peter would deny Jesus before the cock crows. In the 9th century, Pope Nicholas, I decreed that a figure of a rooster should be placed atop every church as a reminder of the incident. Okay? Which is that many churches still have cockamero-shaped weather vanes. There is no implication that the rooster did anything but mark the passage of the hours. But even this secondhand association with betrayal probably did advance the cause of the chicken in Western culture. In contemporary American usage, the association of chicken are with cowardice, neurotic anxiety, the sky is falling, ineffectual panic, running around like a chicken with the head cut off, those type of axioms, right, that they talk about. All right, but now we're finna get into the real meat of this. We're finna get off into esoteric because I know you guys probably, you know what I'm saying, thinking, where's Haines going? Where's Heru going with this? But let's go. The domesticated chicken was a genealogy as complicated as the Tudors, stretching back 7,000 to 10,000 years and involving, according to recent research, at least 2 wild progenitors and possibly more than 1 event of initial domestication. The earliest fossil bones identified as possibly belonging to chickens appear in sites from northeastern China dating to around 5400 BC. But the bird's wild ancestors never lived in those cold, dry plains. So if there really are chicken bones, they must have come from somewhere else, most likely Southeast Asia. The chicken's wild progenitor is the red jungle fowl, Gallus gallus, according to a theory advanced by Charles Darwin and recently confirmed by DNA analysis. The bird's resemblance to modern chickens is manifest in the male red wattles and comb, all right? So it talks about that, right? And then, so here we go to the meat of it, right? Just to give you that. Okay, it says recent research suggests that modern chickens inherited at least one trait, their yellow skin. Now, sidebar, I wanted to get to this because I wanted, remember when I did the whole thing about, where did they come from? Remember I talked about a powerful trait is the skin. This is one of the reasons why we can't have shit in common with monkeys, because they didn't pass their skin down, and we didn't pass our skin down to them. Remember, skin is the largest organ. So I just wanted to point that out. Now, here is the meat of this. Here goes the gust of it. We're about to get into the occult. All right. The chicken's real star turn came in 2004 when an international team of geneticists produced a complete map of the chicken genome. The chicken was the first domesticated animal, the first bird, and consequently the first descendant of the dinosaurs. Woo! Oh, we about to crack your head, because I know you have never heard this shit before. You have never heard this shit before. The chicken is the first descendant of the dinosaurs, thus honored. The genome map provided an excellent opportunity to study how millennia of domestication can alter a species. And why is this so important? Why is this so important? Remind you, okay, let's go down here. It says, okay, it talks about them, glucose and the mutations in the chicken and stuff and all that different shit. Okay, so it says that the mutation in this chicken, right? The mutation disabling this gene. All right, let me go back up so you guys get the breast of this. Okay, let's finish where I left off. The genome map provided an excellent opportunity to study how millennia of domestication can alter a species. This is genetic engineering, man. Millennia, thousands of years. So all of this shit that you guys hear about Blancos and they labs, genetically engineering, nothing is new under the sun. And a project led by Sweden's Uppsala University, Zodi and his colleagues have been researching the differences between the red jungle fowl and its barnyard descendants, including layers, breeds raised to produce prodigious amounts of eggs, and broilers, breeds that are plump and meaty. The researchers found important mutations in a gene designated TBC1D1, which regulates glucose metabolism. In the human genome, mutations in this gene have been associated with obesity, but it's a positive trait in a creature destined for the dinner table. Another mutation that resulted from selective breeding is in the TSHR, thyroid stimulating hormone receptor gene. In wild animals, this gene coordinates reproduction with day length. Your biological clock, confining breeding to specific seasons. The mutation disabling this gene enables chickens to breed and lay eggs all year long, because they're only supposed to breed in season, but they've mutated this chicken to breed eggs all year long. I'm about to kill, boy. Hold on. We just getting started. All right. So hold on 1 second. Let me get this right. All right. Let me go to my other article. Let's build this up. Do chickens need direct sunlight? Let's go right to the meat of this. I'm finna show you why all of this is important. Do chickens need sunlight to lay eggs? Chickens need sunlight to lay eggs. The reason is that egg production is governed by the hen's pineal gland, part of the endocrine system. If this chicken doesn't get sunlight, it doesn't bear any eggs. And we know eggs is part of an animal's or female's menstrual cycle. See, a lot of people, if I was young, if my mom and daddy would have told me that eggs was periods, a part of a chicken's menstrual cycle, and I was eating an unborn baby, I think I probably would have passed on the eggs. All right, so listen. Okay, so we say chickens need sunlight to eat eggs. Pineal gland, remind you, the pineal gland is altered. They can only breed in season. So by altering somebody's pineal or altering an animal's pineal gland, you can get them to breed out of season. But why is this important? Man, hold on. I got to talk to you because I'm not scared of no new motherfuckers, and I'm ready here for the Crystallologians. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, walk with me on this right quick because we're about to recap just a little bit on some very powerful information. All right. So the reason why the Blanco did this, why would the Blanco do this? The Blanco did this because, mind you, like we talked about, we go back to the cow. He needed that crystal in order to stabilize himself, to feed his young, because the children were rejecting the mother's milk. Her crystal was not working. So they found another mammal obviously with a pineal gland, right? And that matched the crystal. They had to domesticate it though. We know who domesticated these animals for them in order to get this, being to be able to survive in this carbon planet. So they also needed another ancient animal, that they had domesticated, that had came a direct descendant from the dinosaurs. And you know how these Blancos love they dinosaurs. Jurassic Park. You watch the movies Avatar, all this reptilian shit the chicken comes from, and it's the first descendant. That's why they honor it. They honor the reptilian, they honor the chicken because it is the first descendant of the dinosaurs. Remind you, when the dinosaurs went out by a comet or a light, all right, by a celestial phenomenon, they were destroyed. Okay, so mind you, who they honor, these are their gods and shit. So this is very profound. Now, this is what you have to understand. Hold on, right quick. Let me make sure I okay, hold on. Lost my spot. Okay, so yeah. So the dinosaurs. Now, why would they study the chicken? Mind you, we talk about the pineal gland. What's so important about the pineal gland? The pineal gland secretes melatonin. Now, one of the things that we always hear, we've heard about melatonin. We talked about how it's secreted by the pineal gland. We hear people in the conscious community talk about the pineal gland and melatonin all the time. But who named it? Obviously, we know the Blancos named it, but where did the name come from? Who discovered it? Why did they go about trying to discover it? I'm so glad you asked. And somebody who turned me on to this book. Oh yeah, Zyba said it's about to get real. Oh, it's about to go down. Somebody who turned me on to this book obviously was the great Bobby Hemmett. And Bobby Hemmett, and I believe it was probably because of time constraints, because he wanted to get so much information out, but he too fell victim to compartmentalized thought, because remind you, like he said, he even said this in one of his lectures. He said, sometimes I'll buy a book just for a page that's in it. But we got to understand that context is obviously extremely important, because in that lecture, what Bobby was talking about was this book right here, Melatonin, your body's own natural wonder drug. Melatonin, your body's own natural wonder drug. All right, this is by Russell J. Ryder, PhD, and Joe Robinson, forward by David E. Blacks, PhD, MD. They got all of these letters behind their name. All right. And so what Bobby was explaining was how they was taking cows, they took 250,000 cows and was taking the pineal glands out these cows just to get melatonin. And why were they doing this? Let's go. We're going to read page 15. And this is why I tell you the importance of, not getting, compartmentalized thought, right? Okay. We're going to read a little bit of this. Just a couple pages. This is on page 13. You think he put this on page 13 for no reason? You think he put this on this number for no reason? Page 13. A 4-year search for the skin lightening factor. Bam. Let's read. Many scientific breakthroughs require insight, hard work, and blind luck. Aaron Lerner, MD, a Yale dermatologist. White people, dermatology is a skin science. How are you going to be a skin scientist with the worst skin on the planet? Well, we're not using nature. Mind you, we're using societal constructs. We're listening to people who got the worst skin on the planet tell us how to take care of our skin. I digress. Needed an extra helping of all three in order to discover melatonin. The year was 1953. Mind you, this is the same year that they discovered DNA. James Watson, Francis Crick. Book don't tell you this, but of course we don't deal with compartmentalized thought, and we own their ass, okay? I was yet in high school, and Lerner was searching for the hormone that lightens human skin. He was interested in a skin condition called vitiligo, which is characterized by patches of depigmented skin. He had already discovered the hormone that darkens skin. So these crackers, they found what darkens skin, so they're like, what lightens skin? I know I found the pigment that darkens it. What makes it turn white? Okay, so he named melanocyte stimulating hormone, or MSH. So they named this melanin, okay? Now, he was hot on the trail of the skin lightening hormone. An abnormal production of this hormone, he thought, might be responsible for vitiligo. So notice, but he's like, an abnormal production of this hormone or this crystal is probably the reason why we white. We got to figure out where this hormone is. We got to isolate this fucking crystal because we're going to have to learn how to manipulate this crystal in order to survive on this carbon environment long enough to geoengineer it. Let's continue. Lerner searched the scientific literature for information about potential skin lightening compounds and turned up a vital clue. According to an obscure 1917 article, the pineal gland might produce a hormone that blanches the skin. In the article, 2 scientists reported that they had dumped ground up cattle pineal glands into a tank filled with tadpoles. In 30 minutes, the skin of the tadpoles had become transparent. So they dumped these pineal glands from a cow inside of a tank filled with some baby frogs, and these frogs' skin turned transparent. You can't. What did I tell you? Truth was gonna be stranger than fiction. Who disclosing this information about the Blanco? I want you to name them so I can shake their hand, because it's probably me. I'll probably be shaking my own goddamn hand. All right, let's go. You know why I'm doing this? Because we got to take pride in the work that we do, brothers and sisters. We got to take pride in the work that we do. All right. In 30 minutes, the skin of the tadpoles had become transparent, making visible their hearts and intestines. As far as I know, the scientists never tried to find out whether the pineal extract did anything for the cows from which it came, nor if the tadpoles produced any of the stuff on their own. And for the most part, nobody cared. The small size of the pineal gland and the lack of evidence that it played a meaningful role in animals, because at the time, the Blancos said that the pineal gland didn't do nothing. So basically, time, right? Much less humans made it a dead-end area of research. But now Lerner had reason to be interested in the gland. Did human pineal glands produce a skin lightening factor as well? If so, would inhibiting its production help treat vitiligo? To answer these questions, he first had to isolate the exact substance that had blanched the tadpole's skin. Unbeknownst to him, this skin lightening agent would prove to be elusive indeed. Lerner and several colleagues proceeded to amass thousands of cattle pineal glands and submitted them to an elaborate, time-consuming purification process. The bean-sized glands were freeze-dried, cleaned of extraneous tissue by hand, pulverized, defatted, then rehydrated in a warming blender. This low-cal extract was then centrifuged, concentrated, filtered, mixed with solvents, evaporated, and combined with ethanol. Oh, these Blancos going ham. All right. It took 2,500 pineal glands to produce 100 milligrams of the dried extract, about the amount of salt you'll sprinkle on an ear of corn. But their work was only just beginning. The next step was to isolate the precise molecule responsible for the lightening effect. They separated the extract into various fractions using a technique called chromatography. Then they applied, which is obviously chromo means color. Then they applied each fraction to a piece of stretched frog skin to see if it lightened the skin. The active part of the pineal extract, they discovered, was an extremely small portion of the whole. If the compound turned out to be a hormone, which they assumed it would, it was produced in smaller amounts than any known hormone. All right. So basically, let's go down a little bit more. It almost took 4 years, but eventually the Yale researchers managed to work their way through 250,000 cattle pineal glands, a Herculean task, to say the least. Unfortunately, the compound was present in such infinitesimal quantities that all those glands netted them a mere 3.53 of an ounce, little more than an invisible layer of molecules on the bottom of an otherwise empty flask. Okay, now, so we skip down to get to the gist of this. After 2 weeks, Lerner had an insight that allowed him to guess at the chemical formula of the skin lightening hormone. He called his colleague Jim Chase, and the two of them hurried to the lab to mix up a batch of the test compound. With growing excitement, they compared it with the pineal extract. They were one and the same. The riddle was solved. Lerner had discovered a brand new and extremely potent hormone, the most potent one he had ever tested. He found it was 100 times more effective at lightening frog skin than adrenaline. He gave the hormone the official designation N-acetyl-5-methoxytryptamine, but he also blessed it with a more melodious name, melatonin. He chose mela because the hormone lightens the cells that produce the pigment melanin, and tonin because the hormone is derived from the chemical serotonin. This is the discovery of melatonin. These Blancos were running around trying to figure out what caused their skin to be white. And this is the point. Oh, this is about to get deep. This is about to get deep, y'all. Listen. Right here, page 17. It says the chemical expression of darkness. So what confounded these Blancos was that a hormone that is secreted at night, that literally is the chemical expression of darkness, was making their skin white. Hold up. We about to get into fire right now. We about to get into fire. They were wondering why the pineal gland, which is responsible for darkness, which is responsible for reproduction, why it was not making them dark, because that's what the pineal gland does. It comes from a realm of darkness. It is the first gland created. And they have a pineal gland which makes them white. Oh my goodness. Oh, you ain't never. We about to get into it. Holy shit. I'm charged right now. Oh yeah, because this eclipse about to let you know what's going on. It's about to let you know what's going on. All right. So they saw that the chicken was descended from the dinosaurs. Mind you, genetic information is passed on. This is the whole point of genetic research. So they wanted to know what the dinosaurs had seen at the end of their eventuality. I'm wondering how I could process it to you guys. Oh, buy an article. Let's dig up the weight. Shit. I love this shit. Come on, man. Let's dig up the weight. All right. Let's go to an article. Hold on. Give me 1 second. All right. Hold on. As a matter of fact, let me hone this point in with, on melatonin right quick. Let me show you guys this article right quick. Okay. Because the worst thing we want to do is make melatonin one-dimensional. Melatonin, mitochondria in the skin. All right, let's read this. A lot of mayonnaise, but you know what our abilities are. The skin being a protective barrier between external and internal body. Obviously, that's called the interface. It is basically the division between your outside world and inside world. Environments has a sensory and adaptive capacity to maintain local and global body homeostasis or balance in response to noxious factors, okay? An important part of the skin response to stress is its ability for melatonin synthesis and subsequent metabolism through the indolic and kynurenine pathways. So it's these pathways where they use melatonin because melatonin is essential for our skin to maintain its health, in turn maintaining the body's health. Let's continue. Indeed, melatonin and its metabolites have emerged as indispensable for physiological skin functions and for effective protection of a cutaneous homeostasis. Cutaneous is outer, homeostasis is balance from hostile environmental factors. Moreover, they attenuate the pathological processes, including a carcinogenesis and other hyperproliferative inflammatory conditions. Okay, this is mayonnaise. They attenuate means they weaken. The pathological, we know what a pathology is, processes, including the carcinogenesis. Carcinogenesis is the beginning of a carcinogen that causes cancer or other hyperproliferative or anything that can really proliferate or spread it fast, inflammatory conditions. Okay, that's what he meant with that phrase right there. So we're not going to let him ruse us, right? Interestingly, mitochondria is the storehouse of your cells. Remember, mitochondria is only passed on by the female. Okay, mitochondria is called mitochondria DNA. Mitochondria appears to be a central hub of melatonin metabolism. So not only does the female give you the very cell structure inside your cellular framework that gives you energy, it also processes the melatonin, which is crucial for your skin, which acts on your gonads, the testes if you're a male, the ovaries if you're a female, and then gives you homeostasis and balance. Oh, melatonin is crucial. All right. So it acts on the skin. Remember, melatonin is metabolized by the skin, and they recognize that the melatonin that they have makes their skin white. Okay. Furthermore, substantial evidence has accumulated on the protective role of this melatonin against ultraviolet radiation and the attendant mitochondrial dysfunction. Melatonin and its metabolites appear to have a modulatory impact on mitochondrial redox and energetic homeostasis, as well as the anti-apoptotic effects. Anti-apoptotic, remember, apoptosis is when cells commit suicide. Okay, so it prevents cells from committing suicides, homeostasis. Basically, melatonin is this wonder drug like this book had detailed to you guys, all right? All right. So it says, let's go to the end of it. It says, given the phylogenetic origin and primordial actions of melatonin, we propose that the melatonin-related mitochondrial functions represent an evolutionary conserved mechanism involved in cellular adaptive response to skin injury and repair. Basically, if you ain't got no melatonin or if it's not secreted right, your ass is in trouble. Okay? So with that being said, we just had to pass that off to you right quick. All right. And we're going to Also, you know, guys, if we move along the 2 hour mark and it cuts down, you know, like I said, that loophole, I'm gonna, you know, more than likely entertain that, you know, just start the live right back up again. So just you know, just be patient, and then we should have the live started back up, because it's obviously gonna go over 2 hours, right? Because we gotta, you know, we still got some very much, we ain't even hit the nail in the coffin. We ain't even came with the smoking gun yet. All right, so hold on, let me grab this article. Let me grab this article right quick. All right, hold on. See, once again, where you at? Okay. Hold on 1 second, you guys. Because this is a bit, okay, yeah, I was finna say, where the fuck you at now? Come on now. All right, I'm finna share my screen. All right, what chickens can tell us about living with the corona venom. All right. The poultry industry has been living with an avian corona venom since the 1930s, and we know about what we know about what that virus can tell us about how to tackle blah 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 in the future human the venoms. All right, so I don't want to say that word too much to trigger anything. You guys already know about this. All right, as the world grapples with rolling out various venoms for the venom that causes venom, there are still many unknowns. For how long will a venom be effective? How effective will vaccines be against new strains? How optimal can we make future vaccines? These are questions also over what future research will reveal about the virus. How does it affect people differently? Do we fully understand the mechanism of transmission? What about future venoms? Okay, now check out what it says. In the hunt for answers, it would be wise to take a close look at chickens. Oh yeah, because there's some occult shit going on. Let's go. The first corona venom ever discovered back in the 1930s was the avian corona venom known as infectious bronchitis virus, or IBV. It is the most ubiquitous means everywhere, infectious agent of chickens. It causes a highly contagious respiratory disease with significant economic losses to the global poultry industry due to its ubiquitous and highly contagious nature. Almost all commercial chickens around the world are vaccinated against this corona venom. So if you eat chicken, you've already taken the venom. Woo! I'm about to cook. I'm cooking in this bitch. Where's Chef Ramsay? Fuck that. He's done. Everybody's done in this bitch because shit. This live is off the chain to me, man. I don't know if everybody else enjoyed it, but it's off the chain to me. An IBV vaccine is most commonly applied in the hatchery soon after chickens hatch and before they are transported to the growing farms where early exposure to the virus is expected. In effect, the global poultry industry has learned to live with IBV as its elimination is practically impossible, and vaccination has been the major strategy to combat it around the world. So I don't care where you getting your chicken from, them chickens, boy, and let the chickens come home to roost. Woo! All pun intended. All pun intended. And why is this the case? Why is the chicken, like we said, why is hold on 1 second. Why is all of this? Why is it such a fascination with chicken? We already told you some of the occult. This is the first living descendant, the first descendant of the dinosaurs. Okay? And so now we're about to get off into why this is important, okay? I'm finna show you why this is important. We ain't even finna hold you up. Bam! There you go. This is Abraxas, the god that has a rooster head and two serpents for legs, and he holds the sun. This is the god of all gods to them. Oh, Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hold on. Let me grab this up. Abraxas. Abraxas, Abraxax, Abraxas. This is where you get the term abracadabra from. Okay, Abraxas Abraham. They changed his name to Abraham. Okay, all right, but this is where the name Abraham comes from. It's from Abraxas. Okay, Abraxas, Abraxax, Abraxas is the Gnostic name for the demigod who rules the 365th. This is why you have 365 days. He rules the highest and final aeon or sphere, ascending to the unknowable God. Christian demonologists put Abraxas in the ranks of demons. Abraxas was also the name of a sun mounting an Ouroboros, a snake biting its tail, held by the highest Egyptian goddess Isis, the creator of the sun and mistress of all the gods. Isis mythology found its way into Gnosticism. In addition, Abraxas was associated with the Mithraic mystery religion of Persian origin, the chief rival of Christianity in Rome in its first 400 years. As did Gnosticism, Mithraism featured a complex astrology and numerology. Numerical values of Mithras and Abraxas names each total 365. Okay? The Gnostic Abraxas created the material world and also had demonic qualities. He is the supreme power of being, in whom light and darkness, the eclipse, in whom light and darkness, let me say it again, let me get my Dr. Umar on, in whom light and darkness are both united and transcended. Orthodox Christians viewed Abraxas as a demon. In turn, Abraxas became a favorite deity of heretical sects of the Middle Ages. Okay? Gnostic talismans made of carved opal show Abraxas as a figure with a human body, the head of a rooster, or occasionally a hawk, but it was a rooster for them. They use hawk occasionally because they want you to buy into it, like you actually celebrating our gods and whatever, right? And serpent legs. His hand holds a shield and a whip. The shield usually inscribed with the name Leal, reminiscent of the Jewish four-letter name of God, or what we call or know as the Tetragrammaton. Okay, the four unknowable letters. The Tetragrammaton was YHWH, right? But then it was Latinized. Remember that it was Latinized to JHVH, Jehovah. That's where you get Jehovah from. Jehovah is the Latinized version of the Hebrew name. Okay, Yahweh. All right. So, but this is where the God that they come from, that they talk about. He is the God that stemmed or the ancestor from the dinosaurs. Okay. Or the reptilians. Right. This is the God that they hope comes through the portal. Okay. When the eclipse come. All right. So, says the sun, the human torso embodies the principle of logos or articulated thought. The snake legs indicate prudence. The shield is symbolic of wisdom, the greater protector of divine warriors. The whip denotes the relentless driving power of life. The four horses symbolize the four ethers by which solar power is circulated through the universe. So the four horsemen logo, all of this shit come through Abraxas. Okay? This deity right here. Hold on. This deity right here. And if you think it's a stretch, hold on. I always have easier time pulling up these articles when Eunuch Erector said rooster ego. Yeah, people tell you don't get cocky. Don't get cocky. All right, so now, all right, I was just looking at the chat for a second. All right, because, you know, I'll be trying to make it as interactive as possible too, but I'll be definitely trying to get through all of this stuff. Okay, hold on. This definition. All right, where was okay. All right, right here. Right here. Remember I told you it's, symbolism. Symbolism is important. Okay. You don't think that they know about Abraxas and all that? Because I'm going to show you. I'm going to just hit the nail over the coffin. And that's why I said abracadabra, the tree, all this, is they serve the God Abraxas. It's not Abraham. That's not what the Kabbalah is about, brothers and sisters. I'm telling you from alchemical perspective. That's not what it's about. All right, so I'm finna show you another form of symbolism because NASA's been doing this. Mind you, we know NASA's hand in hand with the X-ray crystallography, World Society, and all of this different stuff. And this is the idea of the chicken and the egg, because remember, the egg is symbolic. This is what Easter is about. But for them, it's from their god Abraxas. The egg that comes, or the direct descendant, the egg is symbolic or representative of the of the chicken too, because the chicken is the first descendant of the dinosaurs. Okay, the living descendant of the dinosaurs, all right? And we already know how fascinating these motherfuckers is with their dinosaurs, okay? So look how NASA contributes to the symbolism. I'm going to share my screen. How a rubber chicken became a NASA celebrity. Without a shiny new rover prancing around on Mars shooting rocks with lasers, it can be tough for other NASA missions to get any attention these days. So the Solar Dynamics Observatory has turned to a rubber chicken for help. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. Uh-huh. I'm on your ass. Yep. Camilla at 124,000 feet during their fifth trip. Camilla the chicken, CC. We know C is 333. So we already know that symbolism right there. Her name is Camilla the chicken. Okay. Without a shiny new rover prancing around on Mars shooting rocks with lasers, because we already told you what they do on Mars when they shoot rocks, if they are ever on Mars, X-ray crystallography. Okay. So once again, we put that together. It can be tough for other NASA missions to get any attention these days. So the Solar Dynamics Observatory has turned to a rubber chicken for help. But this is no ordinary rubber chicken, known as Camilla Corona. Camilla Corona. SDO's chicken. Now, mind you, the first Corona came from the chicken. Then look how they play with us. My goodness. SDO's chicken mascot has flown 5 times to the uppermost level of the atmosphere in a hot air balloon, flown in a rolling NASA T-38 Talon with astronauts, and traveled around the world attending space-related conferences, meetups, and tweet-ups. Yeah, this motherfucking chicken is busier than regular fucking humans. A lesser chicken might not be able to handle such a rigorous schedule of constantly blogging, tweeting, and traveling. A lesser chicken might be too well chicken to fly solo to the edge of space. They've got that dry humor. And a hot air balloon in the midst of a solar radiation storm. But Camilla is gearing up for what will hopefully be her biggest adventure yet, going to the International Space Station. Okay? Okay? So we wanted you to see that's what, you see this connect, you see that symbolism. But I'm not done yet, because I'm finna end it with a bang, because just when you think I'm reaching, I'm finna end this bitch with a bang. Holy shit. Damn, oh my goodness, my bad, you guys. I didn't even share my screen. NASA's mascot. Then you couldn't hear me. I'm fucking up at the wrong time. My bad, you guys. Yeah, here's the chicken. Here's the chicken. Rubber chicken. Okay, NASA's mascot. All right. Camilla Corona. All right, Camilla Corona. Sorry about that. Sorry about the echo, you guys. Sorry about that, All right. Okay. So why is this important, especially when we're talking about somebody's psychological disposition? This is important because we're factoring all of this in, and I'm finna do something. I'm finna show you the psychological disposition of the individuals who you put in the lead, and we're gonna go over this because it's just to hit home, like we said, to be fundamentally sound. Now, if you take a look at this is something that Mark Twain wrote. All right, so I'm finna share my screen. Nearly all black and brown skins are beautiful, but a beautiful white skin is rare. Where dark complexions are masked, they make the whites look bleached out, unwholesome, and sometimes frankly ghastly. I could notice this as a boy down south in the slavery days before the war. The splendid black satin skin of the South African Zulus of Durban seemed to me to come very close to perfection. All right, this is Mark Twain, okay? Hold on. All right. Finna show you Al Joseph. Okay. We know about blackface. 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107, allowances made for fair use for the purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, education, scholarship, but overall here at the FOF Squad, waking your ass up. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know why this is not playing. Let me see something. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had it muted up there.
The sun shines east and the sun shines west, but I know where the sun shines best.
Sun shines east, sun shines west. Why you think I'm playing you this? You see, they knew the occult shit a long time ago with the eclipse. They knew that the sun is tied into your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is tied into your sexual activity. Manipulating the pineal gland is how they get animals to breed out of season. Manipulating our sun will affect our sexual. This is why they're dying off. White folks not dying off just because they don't have any melanin. They were given a crystal for their pineal gland that does not allow them to become as to have the reproductive energy that we have. There is no saving them in that regard. That is the curse. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way that it is. You see what I'm saying? So we look at the psychological disposition of these individuals, and then we go forward and we see what? Right? Hold on. We took a look at this. Right? Hold on. So we go and we see sunscreen, right? And she acting like she's surprised. Oh my God, you know what this is. This is blackface. This is blackface going on. And so, like we said, when we see them acting out, this is a psychological disposition. This is, even though a lot of blancos are not, let me talk back to you. Even though a lot of blancos are not aware of it, this is where they come from. This is the energy that they come from. These are the people who rule you. This is where they come from. Now, regardless if you understand or you want to acknowledge the system, it's a little bit too late for that. It's operating on nuclear power. We don't care what you think no more. There's already a system in place. Once again, we don't care what you think no more. There's already a system in place. And you already know when it comes to this Blanco, you know that when you build a house of lies, a nigga got to be crazy because you got screws loose. When you build a house of lies, you know that person's got to be crazy because you already got screws loose. Now, this is the thing. When we sit up here and we took a look at all of those things, what is the end of the day what we're saying? Now we've identified the God that they serve. The lineage, all this reptilian shit to get you a little closer to that. It's Abraxas. It's not Abraham, the lineage of Abraham. All of this shit is this God, this chimeric creature that was created from the genes the crystals that they had to isolate and bring together to come into this existence. And this is why they pride them so much. Okay, this is why it became the God, because this is where these crystals come from. These crystals hold this energy. And they knew all along where the source of all of the limitless power was. It was inside the crystals. And no individuals carry this energy better than the crystallogians. All right. So we're going to end with this video right here before we try to get off into a little bit of Q&A with this video to show you. Once again, we're going to go back to crystallography and we're going to show you the symbolism just to show you that I knew exactly what I was telling you was not a lie. Now, if y'all ones in the chat, which I'm pretty sure it should be most of y'all, ones in the chat, if we already have ascribed to the fact that the world is ruled by signs and symbols. Ones in the chat, if we already agree that the world is ruled by signs and symbols. Okay.
Our world works.
All right. Prefaces by 1976 Copyright Act, Section 107. Allowances made for fair use for the purposes of commentary, criticism, news reporting, scholarship. But overall, here at the FOF Squad, waking your ass up. All right. Now, this is y'all sign and symbol for the month. Then we're gonna go back to X-ray crystal. I'm finna beat it over there. This is my nail in the coffin. Watch this shit. Let's go.
Nothing is more seductive than a hidden world that is just out of reach. This is the story of how scientists learn to look deep inside the invisible structure of everything around us, developing a technique so powerful that whenever something new drops out of the blue, you'll probably want to give it to a crystallographer. Like Anna.
Woo! Boy, if anything deep happens in this world, you might want to give it to a crystallographer like Anna. And what was the symbolism? The chicken egg. Because where is their God supposed to come from? I am killing you niggas. Woo! Oh my goodness. Hold on. Let's let it fit. Let's let it play a little bit just to show you what building she's about to walk into.
Anna spends her days exploring everyday things at the atomic level. She does it using the largest science machine that the UK has ever built, the Diamond Light Source. Medical breakthroughs, ever-shrinking machines, new wonder materials. The knowledge that flows from machines like Diamond is vital to our understanding of how our world works. 28 Nobel Prizes have been awarded to the masters of the science of crystallography.
What?
28 Nobel Prizes have been awarded to the masters of crystallography. And I have just killed this motherfucking game. So with that being said, we might got a little bit of time for a little Q&A. Did you guys enjoy that? That was that to me was some heavy shit, right? You know, the symbolism, like you said before at the Hamlet is, yep, the Blanco woman. There you go, Jay Chosen. Yep. Hamichi said, makes sense why they try to make the chicken a part of a healthy diet. Oh, yeah. You know, because they always got to consume what's going to help them. That's why I said European standards, European schooling, European systems. Like Dr. Ben made this great assessment. He said, now when we was trying to infiltrate their schools, he said, if you have racist people, what makes you think that you're not